Sonic Racing Crossworlds is an interesting game among the crowd of racing titles, and I'll be discussing my overall thoughts on it. And just so we're clear, if you're wondering what I have to say is truly valid, then go check my rape and shut it.
I want some apple juice.
Let's start with my honest opinions on this game's presentation. For me, at least, the game runs pretty well. Though you can't set its frame rate past 60, but it's not a big issue, just something I noticed. I'm glad that this game doesn't take huge amounts of space and runs well on top of that, but at the cost, Crossworlds does kinda take the hit visual-wise. It's not a terrible looking game, but it's one where you can easily see its shortcomings. You can find some pixelated textures here and there, and it does become a bit distracting. It also does this thing I don't like in some modern games where the bloom is unbearable to stare at. Skyroad is a good example of said bloom. Some locations look pretty nice, but overall it's a mixed bag in visual quality. The UI looks nice though. I feel like every Sonic game for the most part has good UI, so it's expected to say it's good, I guess. Another thing that's expected to be good is the soundtrack, and I will say this, it's pretty good.
Damn, that is pretty alright!
I don't think they were intending this game's soundtrack to go toe-to-toe with the series' greatest hits, and it really doesn't, but it's still overall good to listen to. With every amazing soundtrack, I'm fine with one that's just good. There are problems. The sound mixing is one I'm not a fan of, and Urban Canyon is down there as one of the most forgettable pieces in the Sonic series, but that's pretty much it. The whole vibe it goes isn't really my thing. I still prefer what they did in Transformed, Riders, and even TSR. At least the songs they picked in the jukebox were nice. Like, wow, these devs have good taste. Anyways, on to the actual game. This game is interesting because it feels like a blend of both the Sumo Digital Sonic racing games and Mario Kart simplicity. And do I think it's better? It's complicated. I don't really like Mario Kart's formula all that much, to be honest, but I do adore Sumo Digital's take on Sonic racing. Transform is still up there as one of my favorite racing games of all time. It does risk versus reward and style the best and makes doing cool stuff in it feel accomplishing. Unfortunately, that aspect wasn't really put into Crossworlds, as there is no risk factor in something like doing an air trick before landing as you transform into another vehicle type. In Crossworlds, you can flick the air trick stick all over to your heart's content and never get any punishment from it. Boost Escape, a feature that would let you escape from item targets by drift boosting at the right time, was also cut in Crossworlds, likely because drifting is really easy to do now. The only way you can escape from items with boosting is by getting a boost item right as a ring appears on top of you to spawn an attack item. You can also escape from a Boom Boom with a boost item, this game's Blue Shell, but the game never actually indicates that and the window time is way too short, so I have to guess this is an unintended bug that was never patched. Speaking of items, unfortunately I'm not a fan of these. They feel all too similar to Mario Kart instead of being able to stand out on their own. You can compare most of these items to Mario Kart pretty easily, something that you couldn't do in something like Transformed. If you're a fan of the complex movement opportunities in Transformed, Crossworlds may look like a downgrade in comparison. One thing it has over Transformed is that the physics aren't as messy as it was before, and even then I'm kinda stretching with that one. So, is that it? Crossworlds was a failure in the series' longest streak of failures. As you can see with my rank, I think there's more to say with this game than comparing it to its predecessor. No, not that. Despite my complaints with its overall simplicity and gameplay, I still think this is a really fun game. Despite heavily relying on the reward factor rather than the risk, I think there's much to this gameplay that makes me come back to it much more than I would have if it wasn't fun. First off, vehicles aren't exclusive to one character, which is a plus, alongside letting people personalize their vehicles, which is always cool in player expression. Another major factor in personalization in this game is the gadget system. There are so many gadgets in this game, there's a lot to choose from to pick your preferred style. Unfortunately, this comes at the cost of some gadget setups being better than others, pointing the meta setups and such. It's a problem with many multiplayer games, and Crossworlds is no exception. Despite that, it's not entirely unfair, and it's still really fun to see what weird combination you can craft. Let's talk about the character roster. In Transformed, there were a handful of Sonic characters while the rest were Sega characters and Yogscast and Danica Patrick. That aged well. And in Team Sonic Racing, it's all Sonic characters, but the roster was very small in comparison, not even including the rest of Team Chaotix. In Crossworlds, at launch, it was a decent to pretty good roster of characters. Yeah, it was basic, it didn't have any deep cuts if we don't count the Egg Pawn, and I'm disappointed that they didn't add the Chao characters from TSR because I actually like that inclusion, but still, decent roster. As of current, let me demonstrate it for you. So, there's Sonic, there's Knuckles, there's Amy, there's Shadow, there's Whisper, there's Classic Sonic, there's Werehog Sonic, there's Super Sonic, there's Knights from Knights in the Dreams, there's Joker from Persona 5, there's Hatsune Miku, there's Ai from Super Monkey Ball, there's SpongeBob, there's Red Angry Bird, there's Rei Ayanami.
My name's Rei Ayanami.
If my demonstration didn't give it away, this roster is an absolute mess of Sonic, Sega, and crossover characters. At this point, it'll look like the transformed roster all over again if this game gets another year of DLC and updates. Except Danica Patrick, I don't think they want to get her back. Is it kind of scummy that a bunch of these characters only got added after launch and you have to pay for them? Yeah, it is, and I'd much prefer how Transform lets you get characters by playing challenges in World Tour, but despite that, I still appreciate its roster. Sonic was always doing collabs since its inception, and it doesn't ruin Sonic as a character because 5 guys in a deodorant brand got decals. Wait, what? Thankfully, the Sega characters are free updates, which was probably for the best. What wasn't for the best was not giving these characters any voice lines. Unlike Transformed, the Sega characters do not have any voice lines whatsoever, and that's stupid. I have long accepted that these characters will probably never have voice lines, but it still sucks. It strips away one of the core aspects of their characters, and so seeing them silent is more like seeing hollow shells of what once was. I like comparing Knights from Transform to Crossroads because, oh my lord. On the topic of voice acting, it's fine. None of the current voice acting in this game is my favorite in the series except Vector and maybe Omega. The Sonic's fine, but not great, same with Shadow, especially compared to his performance in Shadow Gens. Some voice acting I don't like is still intact here. I don't like Mike Pollock as Eggman or as a person, and I don't like Karen Strassman as Rouge, or as a person. Even with the good voice direction, like in the Chaotix case files, I'm still tired of hearing these VAs trying to put on mediocre performances. To me at least, they're just not good. But to lighten the mood, with the amazing voice direction of the Chaotix case files, I've grown to most of these characters' modern performances, and I'm hoping that the voice direction only gets better in the next game. Let's talk about single player content, and it's unfortunately lacking in some areas. You get the Grand Prix mode, which is the usual 4-race structure, except in the 4th race, it's all the 3 tracks combined into one race. There's an interesting rival system that's fun to mess around with, mostly for the rival interactions if you're playing with the Sonic characters. Unfortunately, another cost of the DLC and Sega characters is that they have no rival dialogue, and that sucks. I would have loved to see Red Angry Bird interact with Rei Ayanami. The fun of Grand Prix most of the time depends on how fun you think the tracks in the game are, and luckily, I find these tracks really fun. This game has a consistently good list of tracks, and a surprisingly original list too. Yeah, many are still from older games, and some tracks have the same names as older stages but look entirely different, but regardless, I like most of these tracks. If you guys like this one, I might do a ranking of every track in this game. But of course, some tracks are worse than others, but overall, a decently good set of tracks. Why does Unleash have so many stages? And beating every rival racer, while repetitive, does reward you with Super Sonic, a character you can only use in the Grand Prix mode. It's kinda okay. He has good stats and has invincibility. Also, beating the Grand Prix unlocks 2 credits that's just Orbot and Cubot watching a slideshow showing old Sonic games, which is really funny when they include Zero Gravity when there's next to no Zero Gravity representation beside a few music references. For compensation, they should have added these chuds as playable characters. There's Race Park, which is recommended for multiplayer but honestly could also be counted as single player content. I mean, look at me. Do I really look like I have IRL friends who are willing to play this game on the couch with me? Nah, don't answer that. The modes here are pretty good. They nearly all have the consistent theme of teamwork, so think of a less broken version of TSR's team mechanic. I found most of them to be fun. I can see how doing this with people is recommended though, because the CPUs, like in other games that require CPU partners, can completely throw a run. Well, real people can do that too, but at least that's funny. How do I know this? Well, I'll get to the end of it. There's the friendship system, where you can give tickets to your favorite Sonic characters and get very useful titles and decals and one alternate skin, and they're not even that cool. And the prices are inflated to hell and back. So yeah, safe to say that wasn't the most well thought out aspect of the game. There are achievements that sometimes give you tickets. You get achievements for buying nearly everything and doing various other stuff. You could 100% the game on Steam, and once you thought that was done, the game will throw a quick one and show you another set of achievements, and most of them aren't that bad, except for this one. Traveling to the ends of the earth. Who in their right mind thought this was a good idea for an achievement? Is there a masochist in that development team that I'm not aware of? Come on, don't be shy, I just want to talk. There's also one more thing, and that is the time trials, and I actually really like these, mostly for the fact that the S ranks are actually kind of difficult and fun to do. The last time I've seen a difficult ranking in my Sonic game was Unleashed. Some are kind of annoying, but the rest are pretty fair overall. You could easily spend quite a bit S ranking them all. And yeah, that's the extent of the single player content in Crossworlds, and frankly, not the best. It's not bad by any means, but there could have been so much more. I wish we had a World Tour mode again. I miss some of the stupid challenges you could do on the track to unlock characters. The mission system, something even TSR had, is just gone in Crossworlds. You can't do stupid challenges like drifting in a lane or fighting a tank. Those challenges from Transformed built so much replayability from World Tour alone. It's such a good mode, and I wish they invested in it again. But there's one mode that this game's replayability thrives in.
I can't do it. I can't do it, Squidward.
Online is interesting. I've met interesting players in this game, and after playing it for more than 800 hours, I can say with confidence that it is a mess, and I kinda love it for that. The real thing that bothers me is its connection issues and minor nitpicks like it booting you from the main screen when you find a lobby while you're doing something else. Fortunately, the online mode in this game is where the game peaks in its fun factor. I don't think I have much to say other than the fact that it's all fun, frustrating, crazy, and silly. Again, I've met interesting people in this game, and I'll just say, to some extent, I get why they limit some of the things you could do with the decals, but I mean, it's kinda funny. The minecart basically became the vehicle for customizing decals and colors, and it could be used to funny lengths.
I'm actually losing so much respect for these people. Hold on. He is watching, he is hate watching. This guy's hate watching. Look at it. Look at his cart. And he's doing the emotes too. 100%, bro. You guys are ridiculous.
What gets me is the fact that she's so mad about a Sonic player in a trans minecart with the name I Hit Nazis. Hey Mia, what did you mean by this?
$1,000. Oh, no!
So remember when I mentioned those race park modes? Well, most of them are playable online, but it's only when the festivals come around, and they're pretty neat. You can still get screwed over, but still, most of them can be fun, except for Shootout. I swear, Shootout is what happens when you feed an entire community crack and see how they beat each other to death with their bare hands. Wait, no, that's just Crossworlds. Overall, while Transformed has some things over it, Crossworlds still makes up for being a really fun game. I can never get bored of popping it up when I feel like doing some random crap. To me, this game is a gold star in the streak of gold stars we've been having from console Sonic titles since Frontiers. And while I would have preferred if we'd gotten a new Riders game, or even a Sonic R reimagining, considering how much they love to reference it but never actually care for it, but still, I like what they did here, and they made a pretty good game. Okay, fine, I'll address the elephant in the room.
You know, I actually think
Killing people is making the world better.